Astrosaurs, The Terror Bird Trap by Steve Cole, illustrated by Woody Fox. Chapter 1 The Shore of Secrets. Captain Tex Stegosaur stared out of the shuttle window at the picture-perfect view. 3 suns lit the bright blue sky. The sea sparkled like it was full of emeralds. Tiny tropical islands lay dotted all around. "So this is the planet Atlanto," he said, frowning. "It looks far too nice for a rough, tough mission. It's the sort of place you go to have He pulled a face as if the words tasted bad. "A holiday!" Gypsy Sorney, his stripy communication officer, playfully threw a beach ball at his head. "A little holiday wouldn't hurt you, Captain. Gypsy's right," said Iggy Tooth, his claws gripping the shuttle's joystick as he steered. "You haven't had a day since you took charge of the Sauropod." The DSS Sauropod was the best ship in the Dinosaur Space Service, and Iggy and Iguanodon was its chief engineer. Right now it was up in orbit, waiting for Tex and his team of Astrosaurs to return. They flew the sauropod all around the galaxy. The dashing Stegosaurus's appetite for adventure was even greater than his appetite for fresh ferns, and he ate those by the ton. "Who needs a day off?" said Tex. "Righting wrongs and fighting villains isn't hard work, it's fun." He batted the beach ball over to Arx Orano, his Triceratops deputy. "What do you think, Arx?" Arx balanced the ball on the biggest of his 3 gray horns. "It's just a feeling, Captain, but I think this mission may be one of our most dangerous yet." Tex looked at Arx thoughtfully. The Triceratops' instincts were strong, and if he smelled trouble ahead, he was probably right. "Hooray!" Iggy pointed to an island that was bigger than all the others. "There's our destination," he said. "Clean Island. Well, we've got here at top speed in the shuttle." "Just as we were told," said Tex. "Now all we need to know is why. I wish Admiral Rosso would hurry up and tell us." Rosso was the big cheese barosaurus in charge of the entire DSS, who sent the Astrosaurs on their missions. "I am sure he'll be in touch soon," said Gypsy. She picked up a bucket and spade. "And while we're waiting, we can play." Iggy landed the shuttle on the beautiful beach, and the Astrosaurs went outside into the triple sunshine. The place was deserted. While Arx and Iggy explored over by some steep white cliffs, Gypsy went paddling at the sea's edge. Tex chased after her, splashing water over her with his big spiky tail. As he did so, he heard something crack beneath his feet. "Hey, this isn't sand I'm standing on," said Tex, peering into the water. "It looks like a tiled roof." Gypsy frowned. "Why would anyone lay a roof underwater?" "I don't know," said Tex. He paddled over to the edge of the roof. Then he dipped his head beneath the waves for a few seconds and looked around. "A whole street has been built under here," he spluttered, licking the salt from his lips. Think of the problems the owners must have with damp. Maybe that's why there's no one about, said Gypsy, glancing round nervously. Hey, Captain, called Iggy, breaking the silence. Tex raced over. What's up? Iggy showed him a large, sharp tooth. Looks like something has been here before us. Ark stared at Iggy's find. This came from a carnivore, he said, a very large carnivore. I wouldn't want to meet its owner, Gypsy shuddered. Now, unless all its teeth have fallen out. If there are carnivores about, maybe that explains why no one is here, said Tex. We'd better get back to the shuttle and change into combat gear. So much for the holiday, Iggy sighed as he started to lead the way back to their little ship. Suddenly the ground began to tremble beneath them. Then it lurched. The Astrosaurs staggered sideways. What was that? Asked Iggy, as the tremors died away. An earthquake? I don't think so, Tex frowned, shifting his weight between his four enormous feet. The whole island feels like it's tipped to one side. Then a loud beep came from Gypsy's wrist communicator, followed by a lot of tweets and whistles. It's the Dimorphodon, she said. The Dimorphodon were the Zarpa's flight crew, little flying reptiles who worked the ship's controls. They say that Admiral Rosso is ready to talk to us now. Tell them to beam his image over to the shuttle scanner, said Tex. Striding back inside a little spaceship, Gypsy whistled back to the Dimorphodon in their own language, and a few moments later Admiral Rosso's bespectacled face appeared on the scanner screen. Tex saluted and the other crowded in around him. Sorry I couldn't speak to you about this mission sooner, said Rosso. I wanted to be sure of the facts. What are the facts, sir? Tex asked. Clean Island is the only island on Atlantis large enough to support life. Rosso began. It's home to these peaceful creatures, Astrosaurs. A picture of a prim duck-billed dinosaur appeared on the screen. I've heard of them, said Gypsy. They are famous for being the cleanest dinosaur in space. That's why they came to Atlantis, said Rosso. They live a very clean and simple life. There's no pollution here. In fact, there's no technology of any kind. Imagine that, gasped Iggy. No technology. That means no spaceship, no engines, no computers, nothing noisy and oily and speedy. He stuck out his tongue. How boring. Rosso raised an eyebrow. It might be boring to you, Iggy, but that's how the Astrosaurs liked it. And so did the meat-eating megalodon, or the Max for short. Tex felt his spine tingle as the image of a massive shark-like creature now appeared on the scanner. A sea monster, gasped Gypsy. That explains where the giant tooth came from, said Iggy. It must have washed up from the ocean, but how come carnivores are sharing a world with plant-eaters? Atalanto is in the Vegemite zone, Arx reminded him. The no-man's land between the vegetarian sector and the carnivore sector. They have every right to be here. In fact, the Max were on Atlantos long before the Bacterosaurus, said Rosso. But since they can only live in the sea and not on dry land, they couldn't stop the Bacterosaurus from taking Clean Island. The two races have reluctantly lived side by side for hundreds of years. So what's changed? Asked Tex. Why did we rush to get here? Rosa's face swam back into view on the screen. The Vectorosaurus ruler, Queen Swampy, sent an urgent message to the DSS. I thought they had no technology, said Gypsy. They don't. She stuffed it in a bottle and used a giant catapult to send it into space. Rosa tutted. It took 6 months to reach us. Well, Tex was bursting with suspense. What did she say? She said that the whole island was sinking into the sea. Rosa looked more serious than Tex had ever seen him. That's why I sent you along at once. While I checked her findings with Space Radar, the final results have just come in. He gulped. Was she right? Rosa nodded. Almost half the island is now underwater. So, that was no earthquake we felt just now, Arx realized. That was the island sinking a little deeper. And that explains the roof we found beneath the water, said Gypsy. It's just the top of a sunken building. But whoever heard of a sinking island? Cried Tex. Someone might be making it sink on purpose, said Rosso. Your mission is to find out who and to stop them before the Bacterosaurus' home vanishes beneath the waves for good. See you later in Chapter 2.